Throughout the annals of history, Roman civilization encountered numerous adversaries, yet none were as formidable as the Germanic people. Among these adversaries, none rivaled the relentless tenacity of Germanic tribes in their prolonged struggle against the Romans. The animosity between these two factions ignited from their initial encounter and significantly influenced the trajectory of Rome's dynasty. The outset of this antagonism can be traced back to Cimbrian War of 113 and 101 BC, the aftermath of which resonated throughout Rome's narrative for the ensuing 6 centuries. By the midpoint of the 2nd century BC, the Roman Republic had asserted dominion over the majority of Mediterranean region, either directly or through its allies. Victorious campaigns against the Seleucids, Macedonians, and various Greek alliances facilitated Rome's annexation of Greece. Expanding westward, Rome subdued numerous Gallic tribes in the 120s BC, culminating in establishment of the province of Gallia Narbonensis. Nonetheless, fresh adversaries loomed on the horizon. Between 115 to 120 BC, the Jutland Peninsula was beleaguered by the calamitous event, purportedly either inundation or severe climatic conditions rendering the land uninhabitable. Consequently, the Cimbri, an ancient Germanic tribe hailing from present-day Denmark, were compelled to devastate their ancestral homelands, commencing their migration southward in 115 BC. They were joined by their kinsmen, the Teutons, from northern Germany, amassing a formidable force of 200,000 warriors. They traversed into modern city Czech Republic, only to encounter defeat at the hand of a Celtic boy, necessitating a deviation from their course. In 113 BC, the Cimbri and Teutons breached the Danube, traversing into Pannonia before advancing into Noricum. Inhabited by the Celtic Taurasi, outmatched, the Taurasi sought aid from their Roman allies. Concurrently, Rome was grappling with nascent societal fissures, presaging the eventual demise of the Republic in the ensuing century. Economic disparities fueled by territorial acquisitions exacerbated social tensions, particularly evident in the disenfranchisement of the landless populace from military service, thereby compromising the army's leadership, morale, and numerical strength, a prevailing theme in the ensuing conflict. Responding to the Taurasi plea, Roman consul Gnaeus Papirius Carbo mobilized his legions to fortify the northeastern Alpine passes, fortifying Italy against potential incursions. Diplomatic overtures from Kimberly assuring cessation of hostilities against the Taurasi were met with skepticism. Carbo purportedly agreed to ceasefire, furnishing the tribes with guides to lend them away from Roman territory. Yet, the austerity orchestrated an ambush in tandem. Upon discovering this deception, the tribes retaliated against the Roman ambush near Norreia, devastating the regions completely. The Roman casualties surpassed 20,000 soldiers. For reasons undisclosed, the Cimbri and their allies postponed their assault on Italy, instead journeying westward through Noricum into Raetia. It was in this region that they were joined by Celtic tribes, including the Tigrini and Teugani, before collectively advancing into Gallia. While scant details exist about their time in modern-day France, historical accounts confirm their rampant pillaging and looting of Gallia, with the Gauls proving powerless to halt their advance. Rome, embroiled in the Jugerenthine War of 106 to 112 BC in Numidia, found a temporary respite from the invaders. This conflict laid bare the systemic issues within Roman society. Military and civic leaders succumbed to numerous bribes from the Numidian leader Jugurtha, resulting in a disorganized Roman army unable to overcome a vastly weaker opponent. In 109 BC, the Cimbri and their allies launched their incursion into Roman-controlled Gallia Narbonensis. Roman consul Marcus Junius Silanus sought to negotiate with them, yet the tribal coalition demanded lands in the Rhone Valley in exchange for securing Roman borders, a demand Silanus rejected. In the ensuing clash, the Romans suffered another defeat, while most tribes retreated to Gallia Transalpina. The Triguani remained, roaming Narbonensis. In 107 BC, they ambushed a newly assembled Roman army near Bortigala, modern-day Bordeaux, resulting in the deaths of Roman leaders and nearly 10,000 casualties. It was then the Romans realized the genuine threat posed by the Germanic tribes. Consequently, an army of 80,000 was assembled, dispatched to Gallia Narbonensis. During this pivotal moment, with Gaius Marius, their most esteemed general leading the African army, the responsibility of leadership fell upon a commoner, Gnosis Molymus Maximus. Decointus Servilius Capio as his second-in-command. Capio, a patrician from one of Rome's venerable families, felt uneasy that a noble homus lacking aristocratic lineage was chosen for command. In 105 BC, Marius marched to Gallia Narbonensis, positioning his troops on the western bank of Rhodan River near Arauzio, while Capio, against order to cross, remained on the eastern side. Only under direct Senate command did they reluctantly comply. Yet he insisted on setting up a separate camp, defying Marius' orders. When Boyrix, king of Kimberly, sought negotiations with Marius for passage into Hispania, Capio, unwilling to let a commoner take credit for stopping the Germanic threat, ordered an attack. However, his smaller force was swiftly overwhelmed and encircled, leading a massacre. Marius found himself ill-prepared for a swift enemy retaliation, with his legionaries effectively trapped. On that tragic day, 80,000 legionaries perished, marking Rome's most significant defeat since Hannibal's victory at Cannae. However, like Hannibal's time, the tribal coalitions refrained from attacking Rome afterwards. Instead, most tribes migrated to northern Hispania, plundering the legion. This lull allowed Rome to regroup and prepare for the impending invasion. In 106 BC, Marius concluded the Jugurthine War, and despite legal barriers, secured his second consulship in 104 BC. Recognizing the challenges facing the Roman army, Marius initiated reforms that would profoundly impact military and political history. These reforms central to our armies and tactical series, including admitting landless individuals into the legions, professionalizing the army and standardized training and equipment. Soldiers were promised land for their service. Additionally, legionaries were tasked with carrying their own supplies, weapons, and rations, enhancing both mobility and endurance. The traditional manipular legion organization was replaced with a more agile structure based on cohorts, each comprising 400 soldiers. The amalgamation of these factors facilitated the assembly of most formidable Roman army in history, comprising highly trained legionaries. When the Kimberly and their allies turned their gaze toward Italy in 102 BC, Marius stood ready to thwart their advance. The tribal alliance fragmented into two factions. The Teutons, led by the king Teutobod, advanced along the Mediterranean coastline to assail the western reaches of Italy, while the Kimberly journeyed from Gallia into Noricum, targeting the northeastern territories. By the summer of 102 BC, Marius awaited the Teutons near the Rhone River, entrenched within his meticulously fortified encampment. Despite the concerted effort of the Germans to breach the defenses during their 3-day assault, They suffered significant losses, boosting the morale of the Roman legionary. Subsequently, the Teutons chose to bypass the Roman forces to the north, but Marius deftly maneuvered parallel to them, prompting an engagement at Aqua 68. Despite being at number 2-1, Marius, commanding 14,000 soldiers, strategically positioned his forces atop a hill, concealing 4,000 legionaries in the adjacent forest as an ambush, initiating an attack with his cavalry to provoke the Teutons. Marius promptly withdrew behind the legionary lines upon contact. The ensuing clash saw the Germans ascending the hill only to be met with a barrage of Roman pillai, followed by an impenetrable shield wall. The Romans' superior training and equipment swiftly turned the tide, compelling the Teutons into a precipitous retreat downhill, closely pursued by the legionaries. As the battle unfolded, the Teutons, under Teutobod's leadership, found themselves fatigued and besieged. Their endeavor to erect a defensive shield wall faltered under the relentless assault from the front and the ambush from the rear. The Romans' force inflicted heavy casualties, with over 50,000 Teutons slain, while the Romans suffered comparatively minor losses. The ensuing aftermath witnessed the continuation of the onslaught in the Germanic camp, resulting in the deaths and enslavement of tens of thousands. Despite this triumph, the Cimbri remained a formidable threat, prompting Marius, co-consul Quintus Lutatius Catullus, to fortify the Alpine passes. Under pressure from Cimbri, Catullus was compelled to relinquish control of the Brenner Pass, and his subsequent defense along the Adige River proved futile as the Cimbri encircled his positions, forcing a retreat beyond the Po rivers, offering a more defensible position. Exploiting the Cimbri exhaustion after nearly a year-long journey from Spain to Italy, Marius seized the opportunity to re-enter into Italy, subsequently securing another consulship. In the spring of 101 BC, Marius led his 32,000 legionaries into the Po Valley, reinforced by Catullus' contingent of 20,000 troops, while the modern historians estimate the Cimbri led by Boiorix to have numbered up to 60,000 warriors. Romans' accounts exaggerate their strength, claiming an imposing force of 200,000. Throughout the spring and early summer, the Cimbri deftly evaded encounters with Marius. In response, Marius focused on pushing Boiorix to the northwest, seeking to ensnare them along the Alps. However, Cimbri found it increasingly challenging to elude the Romans' pursuit. By the end of July, both armies converged at Versailles under the command of Marius and Catullus. The Roman forces numbered over 50,000 legionaries, while the Cimbri fielded between 60 and 80,000 warriors. Notably, Marius' cavalry enjoyed superiority, given the Cimbri's reliance on infantry. As the battle commenced, Roman cavalry units swiftly engaged their counterparts on both flanks of the legions. Meanwhile, the Cimbri moved forward to confront the legionaries directly. Despite initial setbacks, Marius' cavalry decisively defeated Boiorix's horsemen. Exploiting this advantage, the Roman cavalry maneuvered to strike the rear of Cimbri line. Encircled, the Germanic forces suffered heavy losses, with the majority either slain or captured. After hours of intense combat, the Cimbri were defeated, bringing the Cimberian War to a close. Despite Rome's victory over its most significant threat since Hannibal, societal fault lies emerged, foreshadowing future civil conflicts.